There we go. Nazmi, is that it? Great stuff. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen. Sayyidina wa nabiyina wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon. That sounds like a Florence Nightingale joke. But the brightness of the lamp, I'm just going to stand slightly to the side. A special day. This Jaffer is not one of those people. So we gather today, certainly to learn. So I want to welcome each and every one, but the official welcome in one of the very many brainchilds of my dear friend, Dr. Elias Parker, please. We are
I just want to tell you it's not necessarily it's shiny enough as it is. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عاقبة المتقين والجنة الموحدين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى وصحبه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Members of the Ulama fraternity, friends, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi. Some real cold and wet weather. Nevertheless, it's an extreme and a distinct pleasure for me to stand here today and known her for as long as I'm married, which is, I won't say how long, but that exudes warmth, compassion. So when she asks you to do something, you drop everything. So I've told the powers that be over there, make sure there's no muscular contractions. Feel my perception of art, you know. And I believe that art represents our communities as well, because it provides a very powerful means of expression, means of communication, as well as a solo person, as well as it can be done, you know, on a shared basis, as we have with cultural understanding, which in turn can bring a very social permeation that is very pleasant. So of art, and this is how I felt I can be of some benefit to the pursuit of the artist for years and years here in the southern tip of South Africa. So with the result that the space is occupied, and this is the role and the value I hope that Academia Library can play in the lives and in the annals of the works of the Islamic artists and calligraphers. So, who's Academia Library? I think those of you that are here for the first time, we've been around for 38 years. Started off in a room of a friend, moved to Penland Madrasa, that became too small, then moved very swiftly to Masjid al-Quds, which then became the home of the library. And that move literally coincided with the transformation of the fortunes of what was then we were called Islamic Library, because we became a more professional, a more scientific outfit, employed the Dewey Decimal system of classification, could manage to scrape together enough money on a monthly basis to employ a fully qualified librarian, and we were comfortable. And then we may open the second library in Mitchell's Plain and the third one in Paarl. For logistical reasons, didn't go too well, but nevertheless, we thought, okay, fine, we're running well. And as we just about to sit back and relax in glory, we realized that the library that we're running at Masjid al-Quds is no longer relevant in terms of what the youth and the mind desires today. Well, back then. Because, you know, it became a far more integrated, a far more digitally driven, a far more comprehensive service that was needed. Hence, the creation of Academia Library. So this is not just a room that is a collection of books. It indeed, I would like to think of it as a hub of inspiration. It is a center of learning that we hope will continue to preserve Islamic knowledge and our intellectual heritage. And this is the reason why we felt that it's important to diversify the services also, hence the creation of the art room. We've got a specially designed children's library at the back. We've got a research center upstairs. We've got a space for over 80,000 titles. Maybe we're still very far from that. It's a very costly journey that we have undertaken. But nevertheless, it's work in progress. So how does the library get funded? Begum, I'm not taking some marketing time, but just half a minute. It is really funded by people like your good selves. We charge 50 Rand entrance registration fee, and you're a member of this library for the rest of your life. So not much money, but again, as I said, it depends on the very generosity of people like yourselves that understand the value of education and the value of the preservation and the promotion of our intellectual and Islamic heritage. So continue to support the library. You'll find at the back, the lady will be standing ready with the box. For those, that still deal in cash, there's also a yoga machine, so please make your contribution. With these few words, welcome once again. Enjoy. I'm sure all of us present here are either somewhat related to Begum or really avid art followers. So let's hope and pray we all have a very enlightening and illuminating experience. Arty afternoon to one and all. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Elias, jazakallah for the words of welcome. And I like that part, Begum, when he says that then, look, I'm not going to advertise, but there's a yoga machine at the back. I mean, come on, man. Yoga machine is outside with the books. So anyway, please forgive me, Elias, and I ask the entire crowd who should have and was about to start the proceedings, obviously, by asking Allah and for His mercy and His blessings on this occasion. Without further ado, I'm going to call upon Hafiz Mohammed Ali Rawoot to render for us a short recitation of a few verses of the Holy Quran. I'm not saying the verses, but the recitation itself is an art form in terms of the miracle that is the Quran. And then to make for us an opening dua as well, please. Hafiz.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واذكرن ما يتلى في بيوتكن من آيات الله والحكمة إن الله كان لطيفا خبيرا. واذكرن ما يتلى في بيوتكن من آيات الله والحكمة إن الله كان لطيفا خبيرا. إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما صدق الله العظيم. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الفخر وقنا عذاب الميزان وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم اعطنا ايمانا كاملا وامنا دائما ورزقا واسعا وعقلا تاما وعلما نافعا وعملا صالحا وخلقا حسنا واعطنا عزة وسيحة وراحة وفرحة وقوة لعبادتك واعطنا معرفتك يا الله يا الله يا الله بحرمة القرآن العظيم والنبي الكريم والآل وصحبه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وصحبه وبارك وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Jazakallah Hafiz Muhammad Ali Rawoot. Allah accept and reward you. Accept our du'as, and quite honestly grant you good health, long life, and inspire that you can continue to inspire with your beautiful voice. You know, I just want us to pause a moment. There is no ways we could be sitting here oblivious, ignorant, immune to the geopolitical situation that we find ourselves in the world. This is impossible, right? So that no matter where we are and what we do, but I want us to perhaps, I want to take this as one step forward and say perhaps it's the love of an individual and quite honestly the love of the type of work in terms of the art that brings us. And I see, you know, there are protest artists in the audience. I think my main man is Mr. Isop. Sorry, are you Hassan or Hussein? Hassan? Yeah, great. Hussein. Hassan, I thought so. Actually, I knew that. I just want to tell you I knew that because I know the guy, man. You know, seriously. So it's just a constant tease. And he asks me, are you Ashraf or Mr. G? And so I just want to say to you, because I want us to understand that this is not just another event. That, okay, great, there is no soccer on, there isn't, okay, there's the cricket maybe. There's nothing else happening, but it's not because of there's nothing else happening. There are major things happening in the world that's affecting us. And we take time out. Because one individual, and Elias referred to her, but you didn't come because just of her. The cause is always bigger than the individual. And this is the case with this stunning and beautiful occasion. I want to keep on reminding you about this. This notion of great, I'm going to write a book. So when I spoke, when she called me, in fact, you know, a while ago and said, Ashraf, what do you do to, you know, I'm having this thing. And then she said to me, a common refrain from a lot of people was, why have you waited so long? And she gave me this beautiful line that I will never forget. She says, Ashraf, things happen when the time is right. And I want to say this to myself first, yeah? And then to remind you. Because I've had the honor of meeting her, maybe longer than I've been married, no? And I'm saying, I've always said these words to her, the oracle beckons, right? Because we support and encourage people to be creative. And so the notion of, I've now written a book, is more than many of us have done. It's not a first book either. And so I want to say to you, I mean, there's the noted and published author, I see Shafiq Morton sitting at the back. There are others. You know, Elias referred to Ahmad Soni. Okay. There is Hassan Desov. There are other noted people. And so this is not just the coming together of like-minded and things like that. This is a celebration of one of our own who's prepared the works for us to enjoy and inshallah for generations to come. But to share with us more, people who are much more knowledgeable than what I am, the first speaker I'm going to call upon is a young man that I've had the joy of meeting a couple of years ago. He is a Cape Town-based Arabic calligrapher, the founder, please correct me, of the Arabic Calligraphy Association of South Africa, developer of the Janubi style, I almost sound as if I know what I'm saying, of the Janubi style of calligraphy that mixed Arabic calligraphy with South African heritage. Please welcome Ustadh Faheem Jackson. Sure, that was impressive, Ashraf. I was at Begum. That was impressive, right? Even for me. Sure, I sounded like I knew what I'm saying, man. Great stuff, Ustadh. How are you doing?
Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh Hamid. Respected honorable guests. The light.
The light, yeah. The light.
I'm not so well, so excuse if I'm going to clear my throat a couple of times, inshallah. I just have a few words to say. But Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Ashraf al-Mursaleen, Sayyidina wa Nabiyina wa Habibina wa Shafi'ina wa Sanadina wa Qurratu A'yunina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. I'm going to read something that my thoughts, I'm not feeling well, so I'm not going to do justice if I'm just going to ramble it off. I'm not as gifted as Mr. Gangrekar. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So today we are not just launching a book, but we are celebrating a visionary, Auntie Mahmudah, with Janubi Zakhrafa. Janubi Zakhrafa patterns in Islamic line design. Auntie Mahmudah has gifted the South African Muslim community something entirely new, a visual language she herself created, Islamic line design. It is a completely original concept rooted in Islamic values, but born from her own deep reflection, spiritual insight, and creative thinking. Through this pioneering work, she has opened a new door for South African Muslim artists. She has given us a distinct visual vocabulary, one that allows us to express our faith, our culture, and our context through uniquely South African forms. This is not just art, it is identity made visible. And in a world where cultural erasure is real, where the Zionist regime have shown how quickly the art, food, language, and heritage of entire peoples can just be stolen or rewritten, her work reminds us how vital it is to define ourselves before others try to do it for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hujurat, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm just going to read the translation. O mankind, we created you from a male and female and made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another. Verily, the most honored of you in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most righteous, those who have taqwa. Our differences are sacred. They are not threats, but signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they deserve to be preserved and expressed. Auntie Mahmudah's work is also a gift to the ummah, created not for personal gain, but to educate, to inspire and uplift. She has spent her life serving the deen, and Janubi Zakhrafa is a powerful contribution to that mission, And I'd just like to also end off by saying, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, that the best of people are those who are most beneficial to mankind. So shukran to Auntie Mahmudah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept her efforts, place barakah in her work, and allow this new language she pioneered to flourish for generations to come. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Great, so let's give another round of prayer, right? We'll start Faheem. And we pray that Allah puts, endless amounts of ink in his pen, and we continue as well to enjoy some of the beauty that he puts together. The next speaker is, again, alhamdulillah, locally based in, Cape Town in a sense. And I'm not going to ask her to explain this transition, but she's, worked in the bank. She worked as a bank clerk and then went to the UK and took up nursing. I'm not sure of the link. Maybe the customers or something of that sort, and said, okay, great. And then became the illustrator of a children's book. And that was the bug that bit. And so she then served. And when I read this particular line in her bio, as a nurse in the oncology section of Red Cross Children's Hospital, just stop and think. I bring this back again, geopolitical, right? Oncology nurse here, just down the road in Red Cross for 27 years. She says though she's happily retired and now enjoys her hobbies of sewing, painting, drawing, and speaking at book launches. Please welcome Zainunisa Brown, please. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sorry, I might have been a nurse and not really stood in front of my patients having to make speeches, but I hope I'll suffice. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Auntie Mahmudah asked me to say a few words, but I really feel honored because I feel even today when I had a small peep in the room with the artist's work, I just realized that I'm walking with giants here. Pardon? Must I hold the mic up? Sorry, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. So I can actually speak a long time, but I know we're anxious also to view the art for, today. So I'm just going to say a few words. So from childhood, I always made birthday cards and Eid cards for everyone in my family and friends. I think I met Auntie Mahmudah in 1976. I was a good friend of her sister, Mahmudah, Rawoot, and she continually spoke to me about Begum, this, Begum, that, and I always believed that I knew and met her, but didn't actually, after a while only. And I made her an Eid card and a birthday card for her 21st birthday. And each time she's had lessons on geometry and other inspirational things, she'd always acknowledge my contribution, or rather like inspiration. Begum, it was just a simple card. I always remind you that it was always there in your heart and in your psyche, and it was all hidden. But you acknowledge that the little card that I made for you triggered this art interest. So I didn't realize that it would create such an amazing interest in Islamic art and set off this artistic spark. And all I can say, it's like a light of a blazing trail of intense passion that you share. And this new artwork that you've encouraged and created is very inspiring. I've just made two little cards. At the beginning, when you invited me to join the group, I had all these ideas. I had like 16 pictures in my mind of things that I was going to make. But as time allowed, I only managed to complete 2 small cards. And thank you. I'm also getting a cold. I apologize. Now, inspiring for other artists and their work. I can't wait to see what they've done. I'm really proud of you, Begum, because today you're launching your book, Janubi Zakhrafa Patterns in Islamic Art Design. And I wish you du'as for every success and look forward to seeing much more of your creating echoes for the future, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Great stuff. Jazakallah, Ms. Zainunisa Brown. Imagine this, right? I just gave somebody an Eid card. Someone wrote a book. I mean, give me a break, you know. I gave someone an Eid card. What did they do? They wrote a book. You remember the days, I mean, a lot of people my age and slightly older, as Mohammed is at the back, we used to get Eid cards and our parents would have like this washing line thing in the lounge or somewhere where you would display the card, or you'd have that big radio, and Ahmad, you must know in Simonstown, you have this big radio, like a gramophone type of radio, you know, and then we'd put the cards on there and you'd know who sent you a card. Because next year you need to maybe send them the same one back to them, use the Bix or whatever. And this was it. Now it's no longer. Roger sends a WhatsApp, right? So, ma'am, Ms. Brown, your card, here we are. Like 90 years later. The penultimate speaker, quite honestly, and we are privileged to have each and every one of you, right? But the next speaker, quite honestly, ma'am, if with the greatest respect, Prof, can I just abbreviate the CV? We want to finish by 9. Is it okay? So she's been to Harvard, she's this, she's that, she's just completely quiet, man. She's a professor in art history. She's been the deputy dean of the transformation thing in the Faculty of Humanities at UCT. She's the director of the Creative Art Institute. Please welcome here at the Academia Library in the occasion of the launch of this book. Please welcome Professor Nomusa Makhubu, please. Thank you. Thank you.
So maybe I'll stand this side just to balance things. What an overwhelmingly beautiful moment this is. It may be cold outside, but man, is it heartwarming to be here to celebrate Auntie Mahmoudah's book. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. It is with such pleasure to be here with you all to celebrate this publication on Janubi Zakhrafa Patterns in Islamic line design, which offers a uniquely South African expression in South African manuscript design. I wanted to begin with the words of the renowned feminist scholar and social critic, Bell Hooks, who said that the function of art is to do more than tell it like it is. It is to imagine what's possible. To imagine what's possible requires faith. It requires a firm belief that what you make with your hands, what you mold with your being, what you enliven with your heart will be something that can inspire and deepen the path that you walk and inspire others. It's no easy task, and it takes commitment and care, which is something we see in every motif that you've created. When Auntie Mahmudah generously invited me to speak at this launch, I replied, and I think here, this is where I might be repeating what others said. I said, although I'd love to, I'm not so sure I would do justice to it. And although I was mesmerized in the work that she was showing me, I realized that I may know something about art, but I knew very little about Janubi. But in that one afternoon, I had learned so much about Janubi patterns, and I lavished in the intricate designs, so delicate and yet so bold. My heart was full. And I hope that the knowledge captured in this book will do the same for you and for many others. Auntie Mahmudah has contributed new designs with motifs inspired by our landscape and our floral identity of this particular place. Each motif with a name and an identity and worlds of knowledge contained within it. Faith, that's faith. And these are the possibilities, designs that resonate with our experiences in this place and time. each with a beauty to make it possible to transcend this place and time. This is faith. To imagine something that is beyond us and something that we can share with others. Auntie Mahmudah shared with me that others are already using these motifs in their work. This is where the beauty lies, in what becomes possible for others through our work. This is exemplified in motifs such as the protopen, which connects what we do with our faith, the stratifor, inspired by the strelitzia and also representing faith, the trimerea, which is about conscientiousness, reflection, contemplation, and presence of mind. And there are many more beautiful motifs, which may be two-dimensional, but they bring so many dimensions to the life that we are experiencing. So thank you, Auntie Mahmudah, for the gifts and the insights contained in this book. May inspire many more to walk the path of faith as gracefully as you've shown. And here's to many more possibilities. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's magical. She's got like a beautiful voice and diction and delivery, like a real professor. Eh? Professor Nomusa, thank you so much, and thanks for taking the time. I got a bit nervous when you said, well, like many others, I don't know much about art, and I'm thinking, hell, if the professor of art history is saying that, what the hell am I doing here? You know what I'm saying? Thank you so much. You are so ultra welcome. And so, guys, listen to me nicely. The time has come. You know, it is said that art is the stored honey of the human soul. So let me call upon the Queen Bee. Without further ado, our guest of honor, the author of this beautiful book, and to share with us of herself and her work, please welcome Miss Mahmudah Begum Jaffer.
I'm so happy to see all of you here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ashabihi wa barik wa salim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri. واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. The dua that Allah Ta'ala expands our breast and loosens our tongue. I want to also ask everybody here, please, to also recite the same dua, because I'm asking you when you leave here that when you also share this with somebody else, that Allah Ta'ala grants that you are also able to articulate and explain and share what I believe is necessary for us today. I've got a speech prepared, but I think it's more important for us to realize that when Prof. Nomusa, Zainu, Faheem speak about, I'm supposed to be having faith when I did this book. But I think the people in Palestine have shown us a different face of faith. And I question my own faith in view of their faith. And I think that generations to come, we all need to understand what is faith, and we need to, faith which are, to my understanding, and because the term Islamic art was actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Coined by people who were not Muslim, who loved what we were doing. They needed to actually label it so that they could categorize it in whichever way they thought fit. And so Islamic art for me is very broad. I felt we needed to just narrow it down a little bit so that when it says Islamic art or Islamic line design, then that is what it is. And Janubi patterns, because we are South African, it was the vehicle for me to use to be able to put this across. And somebody gave me a book, or told me about a book, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad, he drew lines when he was talking to some of his companions. And the question was, why did he have to draw lines? Why couldn't he just say what he wanted to say? But of course he understood us. He understood that we are visual beings and that we relate much better. Like if we do workshopping today, people always like to have a picture to show. In 1987, most of us know who Sheikh Imran Hussein is. He gave a talk in Durban and I heard this lecture. He says that Allah Ta'ala has given us two books. It's the book of words, which we know as the Quran, and then it's the book of nature, which the farmer and the fisherman look at. So that is the nature. So that's what came to my mind, that I think I should do a book, which was the first book I published in 2002. It was a coloring in book for children, because I felt that I would have loved to have known certain things as a child. And so I thought I have to do a book for children. So I thought I'd do a book with words and with pictures. So today I'm doing another book with words and pictures. But I'm also showing you that while we are talking words here, the gallery is going to show us pictures. And here I must really thank the artists, all the artists who took part in this exhibition, because they had about 4 weeks in which to complete their work. And I am completely overwhelmed by what they've produced. And I hope that you are all going to enjoy it. I think it's really, really something that is a start of maybe, inshallah, something new. And also, I think that I believe there's a big role for art and artists in our lives. I think there's a problem that we don't have so much art, needlework, woodwork at school. I think there's a reason why most of the Islamic scholars in the time that we know as the Golden Age, they were all polymaths, which means they were qualified in many different fields, but most of them were also involved in art. But I think we've been schooled to think art is not important. And if you look back, I think maybe by the 14th, 15th century, you won't find so many names of Islamic scholars. And I mean, I'm sure it's something to do with the fact that art suddenly became more abstract art or different kind of art. Whereas if you think about Islamic art, it takes you into geometry, it takes you into things that are, it's full of potential all the time. Everything that we do, we don't have to know a lot. Every little bit that we know, it already contains a lot. So we don't have to go seeking so much knowledge that we don't even go into what we already know or what we've already been exposed to. I'm standing here like some kind of celebrity, but I'm telling you, I don't know a lot. But the little I know has meant a lot to me. And that is why I'm aware of the fact that this is something that needs to be shared. And I'm very grateful that you all are here and that you are looking at what I have to offer, inshallah. But truly it has been an absolute, I can't say labor of love, but I hope it's an expression of love. And that Allah Ta'ala accepts it from me and from all of you. I think I don't want to talk more. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer the question. I think I've said what I want to say. Shukran.
And magical, I don't know much, but the little I know. More people had an attitude like that, right? I mean it sincerely. The little I know matters a lot. I don't know a lot. And she's written books, man. But this is an important part, right? So I'm going to start with the first question. Brother at the back. Hello. Yes, thank you. So what does the name Janubi Zakhrafa mean? Thank you.
Janubi is Arabic for southern or South African. We're taking it as South African. I just went with the fact that when we Maghribi, that we always associate with West Africa. So we're going to take Janubi as meaning South Africa. And Zakhrafa means decoration. So I also belong to ACASA, which is Arabic Calligraphers of South Africa. And apart from the fact that I love calligraphy, I was actually told by many of you know, I've met the great Ustadh of calligraphy, Hassan Jalebi Hoja. He's just passed on a few months ago. When I met him, some of you also know that Mohammed Hoja was here just a few weeks ago, I think. He took me to meet the great master in 2018, I think. Normally, when you meet a calligraphy teacher, then you're going there because you're going to ask them, can you become their student? I had no intention of doing that. I was just wanting to go and greet him. But without me asking, he just said to Mohammed Hoja, tell her she must not do calligraphy. And at the time, I was actually quite devastated because I thought, I love calligraphy. How can he tell me not to do calligraphy? But I think further down the line now, I understand. Because at any time I was just trying my hand at calligraphy. And if I had continued like that, I would not have been doing Zakhrafa, which is the illumination of Quran. So I'm not going to be doing the actual writing, I'm doing the illumination. So normally when you hear illuminated Qurans, then we understand it as you're decorating the Quran. But we just want to switch that a little bit and show through this kind of work how the Quran is illuminating us. So that, because we can't beautify something that's already the most beautiful. So Zakhrafa means decorating, but I think that we should think about it as decorating ourselves with what the Quran is offering us. So, yeah. And can I just explain Islamic line design?
That was a great question in the back. Hey, did you guys know what that was, Janubi Zakhrafa? You guys need to thank you, my brother, the question.
So Islamic line design, because this is Islamic. Line, because I've explained Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he actually drew lines. To my understanding, although Hassan and Hussein, Aesop, these twins, they, like my children, and always trying to explain to me what they've learned at Michaelis Art School, they go through great pains to explain certain words to me. Design was one word that I had to ask them, what does design mean? I've come to the conclusion it just means that you're doing something with an outcome in mind. So when you're doing Islamic line design, you're starting with an intention. What the outcome is going to be, I can almost, my daughter will tell me, Mommy, you can't make promises and you can't vouch for things that you don't know, but I have faith. I have this faith that you won't know where it's going to take you. I want to actually explain something to you. There's one particular design that I was busy with, and I had to think, what is an Islamic line definition or explanation of this particular design? And I'm standing here, and you can say whatever you want to say about me, but I promise you that I'm a very ordinary person, very, very ordinary. right? Only I will know how ordinary I am. But the Quran can make you think there's something extraordinary about being Muslim because you are exposed to the Quran. And for that I have to tell you what happened. I'd drawn this one picture, there were eight petals. Now normally when I do the Proti 10, there's normally 10 petals. When I double it, it's 20. But in this particular design, I ended up with 16. And when I was trying to work out how does this connect now to Islamic line design, I found that those 16 petals and 16 petals within each petal, and there were 8 petals, bigger petals. Sorry, I don't know if I'm explaining this properly. So 8-petaled flower, right? In each petal, there were 16 petals. So if you multiply 16 by 8, have I got my sums right? Did I say it right? You come to 128. Now I'm going to be very silly now because I can't remember the name of the surah. But if you look at the Quran, surah number 16 has got 128 ayats in it. It was something that I didn't expect. But I'm telling you, I promise you, I really have to promise you this. If you're doing it for the sake of Allah, for the love of Rasulullah, this is not meant just for me. Really, it's not just for me. I had to do this book because my cousin Razia, she's sitting overseas. She practically threatened me. She said, creative people need deadlines. And I gave myself a ridiculous deadline. All the artists in that gallery there, all their work, but they did it in 4 weeks. And what they've produced is phenomenal. So there is something that I hope that if we missed it before, I hope we don't continue missing it. I think we need to encourage our children, our grandchildren, get involved in art. I don't say become artists, but let them sit and draw. There's a practice sheet in the book. My niece, she's a primary school teacher. She tells me there's not much emphasis anymore on writing cursive because I wanted to know about upward light, down, the heavier stroke down. She says it's just to get the children to write. There's no emphasis on that anymore. So I think these are all things that are very important. We may not realize it because life is so fast and see the world is in such a strange place at the moment. I think we're all very confused or not confused. We know what's happening. And I think it's all about just doing the best that we can. Any other questions?
Sure. No, that's great. I'd just like to thank the person at the back for that. I mean, questions, so look at the detailed answer, yeah? You know, it's so touching, Allah, seriously, and for alhamdulillah, those of us of the Muslim faith would understand. When she speaks with such passion and sincerity about Quran, yes? And because, I mean, she was starting to lose me. I was lost in the art already. Then we brought in mathematics, and I thought, okay, here we go, Ashraf, forget about it, you're in trouble. And then she speaks about the revelation that she experiences within a particular surah, the 16th verse you said, with 128 verses. Are there any other questions, please? Because, sorry, I do want to, you mentioned calligraphy quite a bit. I want to acknowledge my dear friend and colleague, Mr. Widad Creel of Deen Arts. There was somebody else, Shaykh Fakhruddin Owaisi, who's joined us. And then you speak about calligraphy, Shaykh Hamid here, who is at JEQ, and alhamdulillah, for those of us who we know, who is writing the Quran by art. Dr. Yunus at the back. There's a real Dr. Yunus, but I'm not making up this question. Yunus, go for it, bro. Yunus, can I ask you to stand? We might hear you a little bit clearer then, please. I was going to say that to you, Yunus. I was going to say that, but I've known you for a while, you know. The others might think I'm rude, man. You are standing here. Professor.
My dear colleague and comrade. So I didn't hear the last part of the question. Can I just ask you to repeat?
Yeah, no, I think that there's been some kind of hesitation on Begum's part in terms of having the book done with pencil and line art and 3D. And so we kind of move away from the past into this digital futures. And our artists are becoming AI and all sorts of things are happening. What's the message for us in terms of just reclaiming something, but not having to move with the times? That the times of the historical and practical times now, is there a message in this book that goes beyond something that is seen to be the future only, digital AI, computers, etc.? Is there a place for instance in the world?
Yes, absolutely. So the first time I experienced the work, I saw the real work in pencil. I saw the real drawings, right? And I mean, I think this question about moving with the times and the idea of progress is that we often assume that it shifts from, or it shifts to something that's better. And that's not always the case. And I think it's the tactility of the medium, it's the time that is spent. It's the act of using one's hands to do something is completely different from what might be a much more alienating process when working with a machine. I mean, I am aware that there are a lot of artists who, of course, incorporate that into their art, and of course, it opens up other doors. It enables them to invent something new. But I think we've seen over the years that even with all of this technology, humans have needed to do something with their hands. And I think that in itself, the act in itself is valuable, and that's what brings meaning. And maybe you might have a better response than I.
Sorry, thanks, Prof.
Okay, I've got a cousin, that Yunus is my cousin, and his brother Qasim Umar is always nagging, when is the book going to happen, when is the book going to happen? But he's also a tool maker, Qasim. So he also always told me that your drawings need to be lifted off the page into something that is made in 3D. And I think that our exhibition is going to demonstrate what is possible. It's not a very big exhibition, but there are pieces there that you'll see our artists have actually taken the drawings and they've lifted it off the page. So for that, I'm very excited about that. And I think that, just being able to just put that pencil to paper, if we remember that our taqdeer is also connected to the qalam, and we just think about that qalam when we are busy drawing, whatever we're drawing, and if we can just try and have our thoughts be as pure as possible while we are doing this kind of work, because it is essentially zikr, remembrance of Allah, and also if we're in a state of wudu, it obviously becomes even more special. So I think there's just one other thing that I wanted to also encourage, and that is that I think in South Africa, we don't seem to have a particular needlecraft associated with South Africa. We've got beadwork, we've got the Shweshwe patterns, we've got Indebele, we've got the masks. I don't see that there's a particular needlecraft, and I think that with Tasneem Bihardin, they started the Stitch to Resist awareness of the Tatriz embroidery to be able to preserve the Palestinian culture of embroidery. And you can also, she's here, she's one of the artists, you can also engage with her about it. So I think it would be a good thing for us also to start something. There are some pieces that are embroidered, and there I'm just going to say there again, there's a piece that's only lines. There's a piece where the motifs are filled with lines. There's another piece where lines are crossed into cross stitches. And there's another piece where there are layers of lines. So I think that I want to leave you with that we have to think about when Allah Ta'ala says to to us, whichever direction you look into, there is a countenance of Allah or His mercy. When we look around us, what are we seeing? And this is not me. I've heard an Ustadh from Pakistan say this, that as artists especially, when you're looking around, what are you seeing? If Allah Ta'ala is saying, wherever you look, you will see my mercy, my countenance, but we are looking at each other. We are looking at creation. So we need to think about things in terms of what is possible, inshallah.
Before you go, any other questions, please? Okay, I see. Sorry, I'll go to the back first and then we're done. I'll come back to you. So you know what I'm about to say, Taslima. Now this lady has the most soothing voice imaginable. She is, I think, still on the radio. What's that program, Taslima? Something about the heart, man. A soothing heart. And so if ever you are in need, get a pencil, draw a line and phone Taslima. Without further ado, Taslima, speak loud and let me hear, please. Assalamu Inshallah. Let's stop this now. What inspired the themes? Let's stop Taslima, thank you.
Shukran, Taslima. If I can just say in short, whatever I have researched, it's not all in this book. So there will be another book, inshallah. Please make dua I get to it, because there are more motives and there are some themes that you'll find in the artist statements of the artists. They are talking about certain themes which is not in this book. But it's because when we had a meeting beforehand and I showed them my drawings and I said, whichever drawing resonates with you, please can you show in your discipline, what can you do with it? So, so I will, inshallah, get to another book, inshallah.
What was the inspiration that you chose these motives?
The inspiration was because, I had actually asked Kirstenbosch Gardens in 2007 if I could please do an Islamic garden as a section of Kirstenbosch Gardens, because I had also come across the 17 notations of symmetry in the patterns that you see in the Alhambra Palace in Spain. And in the field of biochemistry, you get this particular discipline called crystallography. They use all of those 17 notations. Now, I'm sounding like a scientist, but that's about all I know. So I wanted them to do a pond kind of a thing where they maybe do tiling with one of the notations, but it opens up the doors for school children, maybe after school, to come and learn the geometry that's involved in and the symmetry and all that. After initially they were very excited, but also things changed and they decided not then. And I think maybe we can approach them again at some time. But the reality was that everybody can't get to Kirstenbosch. So part of this is motivated, I think, by maybe we can take Kirstenbosch to our communities. Yeah. And I think there are many people who don't even know where Kirstenbosch is. They maybe don't know what a protea is or what a strelitzia is. And this is a way maybe that we can actually share what we... in a more maybe privileged situation, we know what it is. Maybe we can use that and just share the beauty of all of that with everybody. So that is why I used the South African fynbos as the vehicle, as the medium by which I could stylize these flowers. And I believe that everything that Allah Ta'ala has created is there for us to use, to remember Him. So, does that answer your question, Taslima? Shukran. Shukran.
I will come to you in a second. Just so you know, Bana, I was going to mention this Kirstenbosch thing, Mujigi, and to 2007, you say. I was one of I don't know why, but I was one of a few people that she invited to come and critique, in a sense, of her presentation. So I'd met Mahmudah, Begum, Jaffer, many, many whiles ago, and her husband, Ghulam Sabir, here, regular to my father-in-law's presence in Simonstown. And so it was a great pride, of course. So I was involved in schooling. I still am involved in schooling. So the subject, creative arts and culture. And so I knew what she was busy with and said to her, no, you need to come and get involved, etc. And so it has been this entire passion. But Ms. Widad Creel of Dean Arts, and I know at university as well, you had a question, dear. Alaikum salam. Shame. Sorry, I just said it came out wrong. It came out wrong. It's because of the floods and the terrible thing. I'm saying shame. That's okay. Euthanague. Say it, Widad. Sorry, Widad is an ex-scholar. He's an ex-scholar.
It's very difficult to get access, to art and to understand your, Muslim heritage with regards to the art. And through reading Auntie Mahmudah's articles in the Muslim Views, it really made me feel proud to be a Muslim. And alhamdulillah, I got married after I finished my first degree, and then the first thing I did was to try and meet with Auntie Mahmudah. And since then, I've always been so passionate about art through her experiences and what she has shared. So big shukran, Auntie Mahmudah, and big congratulations. So alhamdulillah, I find myself now doing my PhD at Stellenbosch University, where I'm researching Islamic art in South Africa, looking at the history from Sheikh Yusuf Makasa, from Guru, and so forth. So I'm also thinking about ways to decolonize our curriculum here in South Africa. So my next question is, what can be done to include these lovely patterns, Islamic calligraphy, Islamic art, Muslim arts in South Africa, into our formal school, madrasa, and university curriculum? What can we do? Do we need a center? Do we need to change the degrees? Do we need to add degrees? What, in your opinion, would be the next step in that regard?
I think that's quite a deep question, or not deep, but far-reaching question. I think we would rely on teachers, first of all, to teach, or first of all, if I can, I'm starting a YouTube channel where I'm going to have explanations of how to do these particular patterns. And I'm hoping that teachers will start there. I don't think something like this is just going to happen overnight. But I think that if we all embrace the fact that we are losing out because of the needlework, the woodwork, all of that. And like Allah Ta'ala tells us that if we don't change ourselves, nothing else is going to change. So I think it's all going to start with us, that we must change it, and we must show what we can do. and what we have to offer. And then, inshallah, there will be no choice for them but to include something like this. I don't know what the answer can be. I can say very simply, we can ask Prof. Nomusa, please pull some strings, do something. It's not going to be maybe possible to just do that. But if people like Professor Nomusa is aware of what we are doing, and if we put in the effort, inshallah, it can happen. I think it can happen.
Yeah, great. I just want to point out two things. There was the time that I know you approached the engagement with the WCED as well, the Western Cape Education Department, but I wanted to get Prof's response to add to Ms. Creel's question as well. Prof, would you mind?
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I agree. I fully agree. I think, our curriculum is blind to the work that's done locally, and it's the research you're doing that's going to be published. It's the book that we're celebrating today that we then can bring into the curriculum, to recommend it, to have it as part of a standard syllabus, to have the lectures focus specifically on Islamic arts. We had the pleasure of a lecture not so long ago for our first years, which I think was, for many of them, I think we've had feedback, and many of our students were so grateful to have been exposed to the work of Uncle Ahmad Soni. We came to speak to them and to show them their work. And I think, it's a first step, but it's something that I think needs to be done. So I agree with the point that you're making.
Thanks, Prof. Any other questions quickly, please? Also from non-artists, like non-higher grade questions, it's okay. The other ones are dangerous. They are a clever bunch, these art people. Prof, really? Any closing comments? No, quickly, one last question, come on. I won't put anybody on the spot. Shafiq, am I going to put anybody on the spot? Shafiq Morton? Yeah. Talk to me. Salam.
In about the 1830s, English colonialists made a comment about our community. And he said, number one, we were hardworking, and number two, we were clever. I don't know whether he was being sarcastic or not, but nonetheless, I haven't forgotten that statement. Because if you look at the industriousness of the Cape Muslim community, the Cape Muslim identity, I can tell you, is a very unique identity. You do not get it anywhere else in the world. And the expressions of that identity are diverse and dynamic. And what we are witnessing this afternoon is the cutting edge of this dynamism. It's the only way I can explain it. And I can tell you that our local artists here, who are, I think, quite neglected, are in fact world class. And I can remember in 1994, Ahmad Soni taking to Malaysia, for example, the work of South African Islamic artists. This is now more than 30 years ago. So I just want to encourage everybody to buy the book, to buy into this process, and also into the very interesting work that Mahmudah has done. I was blown away and excited when I saw her using the Strelitzia and the Proteus as symbols for the illumination of the Quran. And why it's important is because people like Tuan Guru, for example, Raja van Bugis, wrote Qurans at the Cape from memory in the Jawi style, which Mr. Jackson is making the Junub Afriqiya style, as it were. So we are a unique community, and I think our art is unique as well. So finally, everybody buy the book, buy lots of copies, give it as a gift, spread the word. It's all good. And Mahmudah, congratulations. We look forward to 10 more books.
Inshallah. Great stuff. Thank you so much, Shafiq, for the insight, perspective, and certainly the encouragement. Really much, much appreciated. Anybody else, quickly, before I go? Okay, great. So now we're going to go back to You know, I just want to point the point that Shafiq made, and just something that you've just been reinforcing. That really, Mahmudah, it's a humbling experience just listening to you. I mean, really, I've sat in your classes and lectures at works, you've been in my office, etc. It's just always such a humbling thing, because it's just never about you. It's always just about the work, as it were, divinely inspired, and then for generations to come, okay? And so for all of us, and I know there are people, you know, connect, as I think Elias said, connected in the art world, connected to Mahmudah. We're just in support of one of our own, as it were. I remember from my first words, the sense of courage. But then those of us who know, or perhaps we're listening to her today, you know, I came across this, it's not my saying, I forget who the author is, forgive me, Prof, I'm sure you know, and the page number, where somebody says that art is a collaboration between God and the artist. And the less the artist does, the better. And so when I listened to her, when she spoke, right, first, this is not about her. And when her inspiration that she draws in drawing what we want to think is simple lines, is the collaboration between herself and God. And so all praise and credit is to Him. And so this is what this is about. So to take what Shafiq is speaking about, do me one favor. Not support the artist. She says, you know, those of us, who know me, she says, I'm a very simple person. We all have needs, of course. The books, I asked the daughter, how much does the book sell for? How much does it sell for? $100. You can't get Nando's and chips and a cool drink for $100. I'll be honest, let's just cut the crap here. $100. Where are you going to go to a book launch? People have had the courage to ask me to speak at the book launch previously, right? I mean, good luck on them. But nobody has ever sold a book for $100. Now, I need one favor. First, you buy the book. The second, the most important favor. We are the community of read, yes? The instruction, the divine instruction. Buy it, read it. We want to go and be like people, I don't see my main man Farid Sayyid here. We are the type of people who go to mosque and take 3 copies of Muslim views and read none of them. There's no other way to say this. So we want to be quiet. Swipe your card, buy a clumpy books. But make a difference, man. At the very least, you're not going to do this, right? Leave the book on the coffee table. So when visitors come, so what is this? No, I went to this great book launch, man. There's this lady who did this. And so I want to, what's his name? And then once we buy, we read, we try. In the dead of the night. When there's nothing else to do. You finish the Tahajjud, of course, right? In the dead of the night, draw a line. And watch where the line takes you. I'm going to start wrapping up here, just on behalf of Mahmudah, husband Ghulam Sabir and the Jaffer family. They've kind, generous souls that they are. They have some gifts, and so without in no particular order, right? I'm just going to call upon, and these are gifts for speakers and the contribution to the publications. So Dr. Elias Parker, is he still around? He's on the bike. Or maybe the contractions came. Elias around? No? Goody? Is here? Elias, come along. Mrs. Jaffer, the gifts? Yes. Again, no particular order. Hafiz Muhammad Ali Rawoot is gone. Great stuff. Ustadh Faheem Jackson. Zainunisa Brown. These are, of course, personalized drawings, Ustadh. Your name in a line. This is what I learned, man. Line design, my bro. Great stuff. Zainunisa Brown. Alhamdulillah. Hope you feel better. Great stuff. Professor Nomusa. Shaykh Fakhruddin, that we will hear from in the closing dua. There is a gift for Yasmin Desai Chulwan, and in brackets I'm reading here, she's out of the country at the moment. Now, of course, even now, I'm trying to work out, so why the hell is she getting a gift? She's out of the country. But anyway, you mentioned her earlier in terms of her inspiration. So, if you're watching, where's the camera? Oh, if you're watching Auntie Yasmin, and I know you are, there is a gift for you. Brother Shafiq Morton, if you can come along and get a gift, please. Yeah, it's that final comment that got you a gift. Come, man. Be very careful to ask me, Zainunisa. Just in terms of time, is Shafiq's colleague Mahmoud Sangle here? Mahmoud Sangle? Ibn Fikr? No? Can I be asked Shafiq Morton? Shafiq, can you take Mahmoud Sangle's gift as well and perhaps pass it on? Possible? Yeah, great. Dr. Intisar Edbaig, if I'm pronouncing it correctly? Edbaig? Oh my God. Please forgive me. Yeah. Thank you, Intisar. And then those were gifts, and in fact they were, I know you're not going to believe me, right? These were tickets to the Louvre in Paul, and they are book gifts for Yunus and Qasim Umar. Yunus, if you can come and with Qasim, if Qasim is with us. Qasim, yeah, you Qasim, come. Qasim, come, man, I know you're making tools. Yunus, get up and come and get the thing. I need to move, I'm getting hungry now. Nasima Monday, is it Monday or Sunday, man? No? Who wrote this? No.
Saturday.
No, I know this. I know this person, I taught her. I try to. Oh, yeah. I just want to say, it wasn't me. Nasima, see? This is your neighbor.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm with you. I ain't met, everybody met, I'm Nasima, Monday. Faldila Nagia. Faldila, yes.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
Please. I just want to say that I really miss Dr. Nagia because he had a lot of confidence in what I'm doing. He also sponsored an event that I did in 2008 where I had I done a little mini conference kind of thing called Future Echoes. So I just want us to, in a moment that we can spare, make dua for Dr. Nagia, and also especially because of Palestine today. I think he's been instrumental in me understanding a lot about Palestine. Shukran so much.
So yeah, no, absolutely, Dr. Anwar Nagia, legend, right? Visionary, activist, and quite honestly, an inspiration that is sorely missed. The best we can do is continue with the legacy and the effort that he's, the foundation that he's laid for us. To receive the book gifts, I'm going to call upon Sheikh Abdul Hamid, the calligrapher, alhamdulillah, who is writing the Quran by hand at Jamiatul Qirah. I'm not sure if Dr. Muhammad Fadil Arnold is here. He said he might not be able to come. So, that, Salima, is that it? All right, there's one last item, the closing dua, is that right? Before we get there though, sorry, Bana, you want to say any closing comments? Are you sure? Then you can sit down. You might be the artist, but he who holds the mic holds the power, man. So now in terms, I'm going to call upon, alhamdulillah, one of the foremost scholars in our community, and alhamdulillah, we've all benefited and blessed, by his teachings and learnings, to give us the closing dua. Just two things before we get there. So we've been here, let's say we started at something to 2, right, maybe 1.5 hours, what's his name? It's all been a ruse. I know you're thinking, what's he saying now, those of you? Because the first Prof, you used the word correctly, motif, yeah? And others were speaking about what's the motive. So two different things. This is a party because it's Mahmudah Begum Jaffer's birthday on Monday. So those of us who know the words, yes, in a library. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Picasso. Happy birthday. Allah bless you, grant you very many. I make that point, so I'm going to ask Shaykh Fakhruddin to include in his du'as for your good health, protection from the evil eye, from that any calamity, from illnesses, and that He keeps you in our midst for very many years to inspire you, inshallah. The second thing, do me a favor, when Shaykh Fakhruddin is finished with our, don't rush out. I just want to give you one last instruction, as it were. If I give it to you now, you will forget, because you'll be immersed in the ameen's to the dua, and then do completely contrary, yeah? So, I'll closing to our Shaykh Fakhruddin Owaisi, and then please remain seated. Thank you, Shaykh.
Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa ta'ala wa barakatuhu. God is the greatest artist, and this whole universe is the greatest piece of art. So we are all pieces of art, actually. Everything in this universe, everything we see, we look at, we feel, we touch, we hear, it's a piece of art from the greatest artist, and I might even go further and say the one and only artist, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as Uncle Ashraf was saying here, that the two books of Revelation, the Quran and then the universe. Now, in the same way, revelation itself from God, there's one that has stopped and one that continues. The one that has stopped is the Quran. That revelation is over. There's no prophet after Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. There's no holy book after that book, the Holy Quran. But the other revelation is the inspiration that the artists receive and the creators of beauty receive. And that continues. And therefore, as it was said that, art is a collaboration between God and the artist. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue inspiring Mahmudah Begum Jaffer. The inspiration has been beautiful, and I'm honored to write the foreword to this book as well. It's amazing. It's the first where she's invented a genre now here of the Janubi Zakhrafa, uniquely South African, and as we say, local is lekker. And I had a concern, and I told her that usually when Muslims here in South Africa, when they start learning about calligraphy and art, immediately we focus on the great Muslim artistic heritage, of the greater Muslim world, the Muslim heartland. Yeah, we look at the Turkish and the Andalusian and the Maghribi and the Egyptian and the Indian and the Southeast Asian heritages, the African heritages, and that's all great, but then sometimes we fail to develop our own unique South African Islamic art. That is something that had to be done, and I think she's the pioneer in that, alhamdulillah. So this is now the beginning of, inshallah, a whole new era in South African Muslim art, inshallah. And it's a tragedy, and I must say that Muslims have been one of the greatest producers of art in the last 1400 years. Our civilization is a civilization of beauty. Yet it is a tragedy that we are associated, unfortunately, today in the world with violence and conflict and wars. Unfortunately, not us, but people outside of the house of Islam, and they think of Muslims, it's always about, aggression and things like that, and that's so far from the truth. We are the people that produce the Taj Mahal. We are the producers that produce Al-Hamra. We are the people who produce Al-Qarawiyyin. We are the producers of all these beautiful heritage and civilization, all the way from Indonesia through Uzbekistan to Andalus, to beyond, even till this land. So once again, we need to revive art. Part of the fault is for us as well, because we've also taken a back seat when it comes to arts. We need to revive that, inshallah. I just wanted to say that, but and that will be my dua as well. So let us pray, inshallah. Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد أجمل خلق الله وخير خلق الله وأنبل خلق الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم افتح لنا بالخير وأختم لنا بالخير واجعل عواقب أمورنا بالخير بيدك الخير كله والعافية والقبول إنك على كل شيء قدير. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم بارك لنا في أختنا محمودة، اللهم بارك لها في رزقها وصحتها وعملها ونشاطها وزوجها وذريتها ودارها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم حقق لها أمنياتها يا رب العالمين وتقبل منها عملها وسعيها في تزيين كتابك يا رب العالمين. اللهم واجعلنا من خدمة كتابك الكريم وسنة نبيك عليه الصلاة والسلام وخدمة دين الإسلام. اللهم انصر المجاهدين في كل مكان في فلسطين وفي كل مكان يا أرحم الراحمين ببركة إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وأصحابه وبارك وسلم صلاة ترضيك وترضيه وترضى بها عنا يا رب العالمين. ألا إن أولياء الله لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون الذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون بفضلك دعواهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحيتهم فيها سلام وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. شكرا لكم جزاك الله.
Jazakallah, Shaykh Fakhruddin Owaisi. Allah accept our du'as and reward you immensely, inshallah. So just on behalf of everybody, on behalf of our author, our artist, on behalf of each and everyone, to each and everyone, Jazakallah khair, thank you so much for your time and for your energy. And so we're going to step into the gallery. And Mahmudah spoke at length about and always acknowledging the other artists and the line diagrams. And so we need to go and see that. Just one favor, please. In typical, Muslim Cape Town, particularly mentality, the Halabukul sisters and bolas and donuts. Now I teach myself because sometimes we don't really go to art galleries where we can have tea, cheese and apple juice. And so that doesn't really happen, right? So you cannot go with any eatable into the gallery. Oh, mashallah, this moi. No, naughty. You can't do that, right? But it's a time to chill. Wallah, I know Asr is upon us, the masjid is here. We can, maybe we miss the Jamaat, etc. I know you want to tell me something, Salima. No, you don't. You're just standing there looking lovely. Okay. And so it's an opportunity. I want us, please, to purchase the book. You have the opportunity to have her signature and say, don't write in a line, actually write your whole name. And then obviously you can look at the work of others. And then to enjoy of the foods. It's a smallish space. So you have one of two choices. Great. I'm going to go into the gallery first and I'm going to go look at it. I'm going to imbibe it, feel quiet about it. Then I'm going to go and eat. And some of us will say, no, I'm going to eat first. You're a long time. And then I'm going to go and look. All that I'm asking you is this. Don't just run away. I'm sure you all have many other things to do. Wallah. I'm not going to say they're less important or more important. But just enjoy the moment. For it is always in the moment that the magic can happen. Shukran. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.